I was always drawn to the abandoned, the forgotten. So when I heard about Alexei and his illegal tours into the Chernobyl exclusion zone, I couldn't resist. The allure of exploring a place frozen in time was too strong. I'd arrived in Kiev from the States, my mind filled with both excitement and apprehension. Alexei, a stocky man in his 30s with a perpetually serious expression, met me at the train station. His English was rough, but we managed to communicate well enough. "Ready for an adventure?" he asked, a faint smile on his lips. I nodded, feeling a mixture of thrill and anxiety. We were joined by 2 other tourists. Henry from England, a tall and lanky man with a penchant for dark humor, and Marie from France, a petite woman with a quiet intensity in her eyes. We were an odd trio, but our shared curiosity quickly bonded us. Alexei provided us with the necessary gear, dosimeters, masks, and protective clothing. As we drove towards the zone, the landscape grew increasingly somber. "We'll be safe if we follow the rules," Alexei assured us. "Don't touch anything, stay on the path, and stick together." His words were meant to be reassuring, but they only heightened my sense of foreboding. The exclusion zone awaited, a silent witness to a long-past catastrophe, forever etched into the earth. Crossing the boundary of the zone felt like stepping into another world. Buildings stood as hollow shells, their windows shattered, walls bearing the scars of time and neglect. The air was thick with an eerie silence, broken only by the occasional beep of the dosimeter. Alexei led us through the abandoned streets of Pripyat. He recounted how the city had been evacuated within hours, its residents leaving behind their lives, their belongings, their very essence. The traces of their hurried departure were everywhere. Toys scattered on playgrounds, dishes on tables, a sense of lives interrupted. People thought they would return, Alexei said quietly. But they never did. We ventured deeper into the city, the silence growing more oppressive with each step. The once bustling amusement park now stood as a haunting monument to the past, its Ferris wheel frozen in mid-turn. A chill ran down my spine, as if the ghosts of the past were watching us. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows on the crumbling buildings, we headed to a partially collapsed apartment block. Alexei suggested we rest for the night. "Tomorrow we'll explore further," he said. "But be careful. This place, it holds secrets." The next day, we delved deeper into the zone. The oppressive silence remained constant, broken only by the crunch of our footsteps on broken glass and debris. I glanced at Henry and Marie, who seemed equally uneasy. The air was thick with tension, and even Alexei looked disturbed. "In this place, you need to trust your instincts," Alexei advised. "If something feels wrong, it probably is." At one point, I thought I saw a shadow flicker at the edge of my vision, but when I turned, there was nothing. Henry's humor had vanished, replaced by grim determination, and Marie's eyes darted nervously, her hand gripping the dosimeter tightly. As night fell, the sense of dread intensified. We decided to take refuge in a large building that had once been a hotel. The 5th floor offered a good vantage point over the city, but also a sense of isolation. "Stay together," Alexei warned. "And if you hear anything strange, don't investigate. Just stay put." We settled in for the night, the oppressive silence broken only by our whispered conversations. But as darkness enveloped us, strange noises began to echo from outside. Faint, eerie cries pierced the stillness, sending shivers down our spines. "Are those animals?" Marie whispered, her face pale. Alexei shook his head, his expression grim. "No, just stay quiet. We'll get through this night." I barely slept that night. The cries outside continued, sometimes closer, sometimes farther away. They were unlike anything I had ever heard, human, yet twisted and unnatural. I lay there, heart pounding, straining to hear any sign of danger. At dawn, the cries finally ceased, giving way to an oppressive silence. We cautiously made our way downstairs, sticking close together. As we moved through the city, we saw the creature for the first time. It stood motionless, its skin pale, and stretched taut over its bones. Its eyes, seemingly hollow, tracked our every movement. "This is bad," Alexei whispered, his voice shaking. "I saw the creature once 3 years ago. Keep quiet, and slowly let's get out of here." We tried to leave silently, but the tension was palpable. At one point, Henry stumbled and fell, letting out a loud noise. The creature turned its head toward us, its eyes locking onto Henry. "Run," Alexei shouted, grabbing me and Marie. We sprinted through the streets, leaving Henry behind. His screams echoed after us, but we couldn't stop. We reached another building, barricading ourselves inside. The building where we took refuge turned out to be an old hospital. The irony of seeking safety in a place once meant for healing didn't escape me. The corridors were dark, filled with remnants of the past, broken chairs, rusted medical equipment, and yellowed charts telling stories of long-gone lives. We heard dull thuds on the doors and walls. The creature was trying to break through the barricade, but it was failing. Alexei listened carefully, his face focused. "We need to leave," he finally said. "It's likely other creatures will come." Marie started crying. "I'm not going anywhere. I paid for a safe tour." Alexei looked at her coldly. "My job was to guide you to the zone and show you the places. I never promised to protect you." Marie calmed down, realizing we had no other choice. We began looking for another exit from the hospital. We moved through dark corridors, our footsteps echoing in the empty halls. Occasionally, we heard banging and screams from outside, reminding us that danger was close. Soon we found a hole in the wall that was the exit. Carefully, we crawled through and got out. Alexei said that we should get to the car and leave while it was light. Otherwise, there would be a lot of those things at night. Suddenly, we saw 2 more half-humans. Alexei motioned for us to hide in the bushes. We did as he instructed, trying to remain as quiet as possible. One of the creatures approached the bush and began sniffing the air, as if it were trying to detect our scent. Looking at Marie, I realized she was on the verge of a breakdown. Her eyes darted around, and she was holding her mouth, breathing heavily. I gestured for her to stay quiet, but Marie screamed and ran. The creature immediately lunged at her, and she fell to the ground. Then it turned towards us. Just as the creature was about to pounce, I heard a gunshot. The creature let out a final screech and collapsed to the ground. Alexei stood over it, his face grim, a smoking pistol in his hand. "Come on," he said, his voice hoarse. "We need to get out of here." Alexei then went over to Marie, checking her pulse, and said she was alive, just passed out from fear. We picked her up and ran towards our vehicle, fortunately not far away. We managed to drive out of the zone safely. But I would never forget the horror of that night. The nightmares of the zone and its monstrous inhabitants still haunt me. I know I will never return there, but a part of me will forever remain in that desolate, forgotten place. In a place where darkness and terror reign. In the Chernobyl exclusion zone.